hopefully, if you can hear me. Hi, hi Mira. So you can see you guys can hear me, yeah? Because that would be really cool if you can. We'll just get a few more people coming along. Yeah, so today I'm going to do this hippo, which is hilarious. I've never done a hippo before, so I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, Sean. Oh, what time is it over there? Gosh, are you up really early? I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody else is up early as well. Are you guys all the way over the other side of the world or something? I know Sean is. Hi, Joe. Hi, Linda. Yeah, look, you can see I'm sweating. Oh, I made dinner too late, and then I was trying to get the kids to all finish their dinner, and then herd them into the next room and bribed them with TV, and the baby's upstairs. So I'm all flustered today. I don't know, that's how it is, isn't it? Hi, Lydia. Ah, cool. Everyone's here. All right. So today, sweaty nose. Today we're going to give this hippo a go because I thought it might be quite cool to show you some water. And I think it's got some quite nice textures. I'm trying to pick cakes that will look really cool, don't involve too much time, but that have quite high impact. So, oh yes, Sean's up at 4:30 a.m. Crazy, crazy lady. And then we've got Sharon who's up at 6:30 a.m. So that's all really early. It is 7:30 p.m. here. Okay, cool. Should we get going? I don't know why we say we, because it's only me who does the hard work. You lot sit there. So tell me where you are. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me how your week's been. The weeks are flying by. Unbelievable. Every time I think I'll get through one of these and survive it, and then before I know it, I'm facing up against another one. So it's crazy. But all right, let's give it a go. So first up, today I've done a 10-inch square. If I was playing safe, I'd have done a 12-inch square, but I'm really trying not to waste ingredients. As you might notice along the back here, I'm getting this huge collection of random cakes. So I didn't want to waste a 12, so I just did it in a 10. So let's hope it will work. So firstly, what I'm going to do is create more of a rectangle because we need him longer than he's wider. So let's give that a go. Okay, so first up, I'm going to add a bit of length on it as well. So I'm going to try something like that. If I'm hesitating, it's because I'm making it up as I'm going along here. I also only baked this cake about 4 hours ago, so it's a bit softer than usual. Normally, I will try and give cakes 24 hours to set before messing around with them, but yeah, life's going faster than I can deal with, so it got baked this morning. And then I'm going to move it into the corner here. So this is a 16-inch board. I like working along the angle on the 16-inch board because I get longer space for my cakes. And I'm just going to pop that back on there like that at the moment, just so that I can get a bit more of a length going on. All right. This might fall off because I haven't buttercreamed it yet. The buttercream's over there, so I'm just going to give it a go. So I'm going to get going. I'm going to carve down to get this into his body shape. So we want this bit to be disappearing into the water. This is sort of where his neck comes in, so we can cut quite a lot off. This is where I just get into that throwing cake around thing that my mother hates. Whenever she comes to visit, she always moans at me that I'm chucking cake on the floor. So really, really, really carving it down because we want his body to be disappearing into the water. Oh, you can tell it's fresh cake, but it's been a pain. You noticed I'm not very gentle with cake. So all of you guys who are just very, 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 very gingerly carving away, you can put some quite brutal muscle behind it. Okay, this is going to be his front of his mouth, enormous mouth, eyes running about there. Eyes running about there. So we can just carve it down behind his eyes. Let's just bring it in a bit. So if his eyes are there and they're on the side, let's just bring in a bit and then it comes back out again. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Right where my phone is. I'll tell you what, I'll turn it. I'm not chucking bits of cake yet because I might need just a tiny little bit on top. We'll see how much I can carve it. This back end bit has been a pain, that's all right. Okay, going to round off this front. Turntable so I can airbrush, but as you can see, it's causing me trouble putting it on the turntable. So normally I'd have it off the turntable to carve it and then put it on the turntable to get going, but I haven't got time. So these are these two front bits here. There, these are those two front bits, which is working along here, coming into this bit. So I'm just going to round off the front. And then it looks to me like it comes in ever so slightly here. So let's just give that. And I'm going to go a bit more accentuated with it because obviously the buttercream takes half of it. So you can give it a bit of an accentuation. Then it looks like it comes down in a V shape. We've got that there. And actually that means I'm going to have space for his eyes without having to put anything on. So if I leave that for his eyes, thinking and talking at the same time, not my strong point. I'm going to bring that one in there and then come up with this V. Bring it in so that his eyes protrude out. Going to go down the same the other side. So we've got this bit coming out and then we're going down here. Just got to match it through. Just try and give him that eye socket. This one the same. So we'll go down, round, and then back up for those bulging eyes. Give him that undercut there as well, so that his eyes get out of it. So what have we got? Let's just soften the edges off here because we don't want really harsh edges on those. That triangle a bit. I'm going to deepen it here as well because otherwise, again, once you put your buttercream in, all that hard work you've put into shaping it is going to disappear. Let's just edge it down a little bit so that we've got a bit of a slide on either side. You've not got a completely flat shape. He's got some groovage going on here. Who knows what they are? All right. I think that's pretty cool. I think we're okay with that. I think we can work on the rest. Nostrils here. Great big face and I don't know what they are. There. Running back up. I might just knock these eyes back a bit. There just doesn't seem to be quite enough nose going on here. So let's just knock those eyes back a bit. Something like that? Okay. All right. I'm just going to tidy this up. And we'll put some fleshing out features on him. Ears go here. Oh, I'm faffing now. This is the first one I faffed on. All right, let's go. I'm just going to tidy these bits up. Let's see. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Emma. Hello, Tracy. Hi, Karen. Los Angeles, LA. Awesome. Right, I'm just going to clear all this stuff away. I know you guys get really cross at me when I throw all this cake away, but honestly, imagine eating it all the time. I struggle enough. So if it goes in the bin, I can't eat it. Ow, let's take myself with a knife. Just a second. Cake this time. That's because the last ones have been 8-inch rounds, haven't they? So I've used all the cake. This one, because it's a 10-inch square, it's a bit more. I'm just going to throw that over there. let's chuck a bit of buttercream on. Here we go. So again, like last time, I filled it before doing this. It's going to move back a tiny bit now. So I just need a little bit in between there, so that all sticks together. And then I've already filled it. So just talk amongst yourselves for a second whilst I just give this a very quick crumb coat. So buttercream, 250 butter, 500 icing, and if it's a bit stiff, I let it down with a bit of water. Really simple. I know there's lots of amazing fancy ways you can do stuff. I'm just not fancy enough to do them. So just give him a crumb coat. And then we'll put on some of his details. Again, if you have any questions, do ask them. When I'm doing this, I can't watch the chat feed. So, but I always look afterwards. So if I've missed them, I'll always come back and type in the answers. Alternatively, keep asking them, and I will eventually see them. Get my face tonight. Oh, yeah. Humid. How's everybody's week been? I feel like a hairdresser now. So tell me about your holiday. Oh yeah, no one's had a holiday. Everyone got through the week okay? Anyone baked anything cool? What's that? What size board was it? Okay, so 16-inch board, basically, because more or less all I ever use. And I have lots of them kicking about, because more or less all of my work goes on 16-inch boards. But I almost always use them running across corner to corner like this, so that I get like an 18-inch length out of them. So my cakes can be really nice and long and stretched out. I don't like things cramped on boards. I like to give them room. We've got a shape yet? Anyone see him? It's a bit like a car to me. Not that I do cars. Ooh, awful things. Order anything else, but don't order a car. Okay. All right, just about there. Okay, let's chuck that over there. And we shall move on. I'm going to use some odds and ends from last week because it saves money. Just check that's running in the middle. Let's go that way with it a bit. You see? I think that's half my problem. I bake as small as I can to carve. So I don't waste or eat any. It makes it harder to carve and you have very little room for error. I just don't do small cakes. I can't get on with them. I really can't get on with them. So all my cakes are 12-inch square. They all start with 12-inch squares. They all end with 12-inch squares. They don't really do anything else. This is a size down, and I'm already struggling with how restrictive I'm finding it. So, but then I also price for doing bigger cakes. I just don't do small cakes. So if someone wants a small cake, I tell them that a small cake will cost the same as a big cake. So they may as well have a big cake and then share it with friends, family, neighbours, whatever. You can always find someone to eat cake. There's no one who can't. So I just don't do small cakes at all, and it gives me the freedom. And they pay for a bigger cake, or they don't have a cake. It's that simple. Sounds cutthroat, doesn't it? But it works. All right. So let's put on some face features. Firstly, I just want to get these great big eyes in because they're huge. So I reckon we put one like that. Now, if you want to help yourself out, you could put this in the fridge to set up, especially as we're putting eyes on the side like this, the chance of them sliding around is quite high. So at this point, it might be quite a good idea to put it in the fridge to set up. But what the heck, let's play with fire. What sort of cake do I use? Maisie, if anyone knows Maisie recipes, they're all over the internet. I always use Maisie because, I'm just going to move this slightly because now I'm bashing my camera. They set up slightly stronger than a Victoria sponge, but they're not, I'm going to swear, they're not cardboard like Madeiras are. I just cannot get on with Madeira. It's so dry, it's like eating polystyrene. So I like a Maisie because it's a little bit stronger and can cope me bashing it, but it's not as polystyrene as a Madeira. Anyone who's been on my courses knows I use these. Speaking of which, I've just looked my online cake school, Bulldog here. I'll talk about him in a bit, but Bulldog, there's the first one. And on that, you get full recipes for the Maisie. So if you want to come on the online Bulldog class, then you'll get Maisie recipes, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I've done some eyes there. There's some. Oh, Alexa's talking to me. I'm going to put on these, they are, like grooves here. And then I'm also going to put one just running down the centre of his head. Yes, Sean, I can honestly tell you this week has been the hardest of all of them. Like, my ability to cope has just gone through the floor. I don't know why. Suddenly all of this week it's just like it's horrendous, isn't it? It's not only no fun, but it's also never ending. Then you've got the whole, sorry, going on to a kids conversation. If you have kids, then you've got the whole, do you send them back to save your own mental health, or do you keep them to save their health or your health? Oh, awful. I think maybe that's why it is, because there's no end in sight. It's just one day at a time, isn't it? That's all we can do. Right, so I'm going to put on, oh, I just moved my board. Sorry, guys. I'm going to put on a bit of chunk icing just at the front here, just so that he's got these. Let me show you. There. Trying to get this bit here going. They look like they're slightly protruding, don't they? So that's why I'm just going to add a tiny bit and then pop his nostrils on. There we go. And then, I know it's a bit of icing, but I just feel that I just want to add a tiny bit . Just here. Probably got enough cake not to do it, you know, but what the heck. Live dangerously. Okay, I'll put that on. Still looking like a race car. Just a really dodgy one. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. Let's just give him two little lines for his nostrils, just so we have something to dig into. One there. One there. Just checking it all over. So I'm going at such a speed. Okay, cool. All right, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to roll out some icing. I'll tell you what we'll do, just before we do that. I've just seen as I've stood up, his back isn't completely flat. He's got rolls of squidge, like the best of us. So let's give him a couple of rolls of squidge there. One there. We'll just go one there. Am I right in thinking that you use supermarket fondant for my sculpted cakes? Yes. Anything soft, anything really, really soft. Slow drying will work really, really well. If it dries too fast, it's going to cause you problems because you're not going to be able to texture it. So wherever you are, it's no real good me saying supermarket because you're all over the place, Australia, New Zealand, Los Angeles, all sorts of places. So just hunt out the softest sugar paste that you can get your hands on. So you might need to try a few different brands to get it going. You want it soft so that you can, soft and slow drying so that you can texture it. All right, who reckons I can get this done in, covered in 1 kilogram? Yeah. Any more questions out there whilst I do this? It is soft tonight, it's humid, so even the soft is soft, so this is going to be hilarious. Trying to get this on. It's got quite a lot of texture for something, an animal you would think probably didn't have a lot of texture. But actually look at him, that's why I quite liked him. I like animals that have got texture because I can hide anywhere I screw up. Now, the hardest ones are horses, unless you're doing Shetland ponies. There's nowhere to hide on them. It was a bit thin at this end, but I'm going to give it a go. Get off the table. Reckon it will go? Give it a risk. Nah. No, I'm going to go slightly wider. Probably wide enough at this end. Turn it around. All right, let's see if we can find him. Come on, Hippo. Where are you? Have you in there? Okay, so as soon as it's on, you want to go straight into putting your details on. Because you're now running against drying time and the humidity's up tonight and it's warm, so that icing is going to be drying straight away on you. What is it tonight? I keep wandering off with this board. Okay, so I'm not going to bother cutting it because I can do that anytime. I've got to get straight on to do the detailing. So I'll do the elephants upstairs. Okay. So sculpting tools again. Put them in. All tools at one end. Colour shape at the other end. Okay, so we start off. I'm just going to work in his eyes on the side of his head. Pinch out the eyelids, and then I can put my hand in to protect it whilst I start messing around with the top bit. Same on the other side, pinching the eyelids. Just looking at what it's doing. Great big wrinkles going on. Push these in. to do with the tools, you can always smooth them out with your hands if it gets too aggressive looking, if they're too harsh. You can also pick their noses and bring them up, which is my favourite game to play. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm going to go up middle, and then he's got all this beautiful, I have to show you, all this beautiful dimpling here. Dimpling? I think I've just made up a word. Dimpling? Dimples? Dappling? Who knows? Little girl does not like being shut out. Right. So let's do that. And then in the middle, it's got a texture. So I'm going to use tinfoil. And then you can create absolutely amazing kind of a texture crocodile effect with it. And what's really cool is the airbrush picks it up beautifully. You're amazed how many things around your house make really, really good textures. So this kind of goes up the side, and then up here, another couple of big arches going on. And then again, this effect going across there, across there. And then right across here, this is all, just going to put this line in. This is all grooves. Going up here into these dips. This looks like an elephant, this kind of like grooving going across here. Similar to an elephant's grooves. Gonna make sure these eyes are big enough. Eye socket's big enough. I try not to cross hatch. It never looks right. So make sure your lines go in the same direction. What are you doing? Just do it here. And then round the back again, you've got that weird texture. You know, I think the more textured your cake is, the cooler it looks. So always go for it. Never underestimate how much texture you need on one of these. Just going to push in, because actually, although the top is quite sticking out at the bottom, it goes back in. So let's push those back in. Just going to give it a bit more of an accentuated eye, which I know you can't see from there, but I can if I'm doing it. Great big tear duct. Great big tear duct. All right. Just doing the bits underneath here. Okay, cool. Now then. He is in water, so rather than cut this off, I'm going to be really lazy and leave it on and then work with it and add more to it. So let's just give him a deepen down, just so we get a demarcation where the heat ends and the water starts. And then let's just throw in some more bits. And I'm not worrying about smoothness because it's supposed to look like rippling water. As soon as you get it on, you can start putting your ripples in. And bring them in the same line as his body, because the ripples will come away from his body in the same pattern as his body. So add another bit, work it in there. Just let me get this on and then I'll come and have a look at those questions. I had wonderful intentions of getting the board pre-covered. I've lost today. And as I said, again, I'm not worrying about it being neat because actually I want the texture of the water. So if it's radiating away from him, they're going to be doing that, aren't they? I'm just going to colour that couple of bits there. We're there, and that'll be him covered. Icing sugar. Right, whilst I'm rolling it out, let's look at this. The next cake, crikey. I haven't even survived this one yet. What are the questions? How did you find that animals are your thing? I've always loved animals. I've always drawn them. I don't have an affinity with people. Actually, I don't have an affinity with people in real life. I'm not a very good people person. I never know what to say to them or what to do with them. I'm always the one at a party who's sat in the corner. So I just think that's how it works. Whereas animals are just the purest souls, aren't they? They'll love you no matter what. And they just, I just don't think animals have any natural malice. So I've always loved them. I've always drawn them ever since I was a kid. And I also find them easy. Obviously, you're naturally drawn to things you find easy. So that's that one. Let me just look back up again. Kind of looks like a person's face. What kind of weird ass people do you know? Do I ever do people? No, we just answered that question. I don't like people. Occasionally like some people. Whether they then like me is another matter entirely. Right, what's the next one? Do you have a favourite animal? I do, but it changes on like a daily basis. So I will quite often tell you that's my favourite animal, and then someone will say something about a different one, and I'll go, I was quite partial to white tigers till I found out how horribly inbred and diseased they are. Now I just feel sad about all white tigers. I only learned that the other week when I was doing the tiger here. I love foxes. I do love foxes. Even though they ate my chickens, I still love them. Yeah, ask me and I'll tell you a different one. Nicola. So I made lunch for hubby, you made a hippo. Yes. Does your hubby, would you rather have a hippo? Nearly there. Using the wrong side of it isn't going to help though, is it? There you go. I keep hitting the blooming thingy. I've never hit the thingy before. Do I normally not use square boards? Have I used round boards? Using a square board. So again, I'm just whacking this on, and then I'm going to, not just create all the ripples. You have to create, my mother would kill me for dropping my H's. You have to create the ripples and stuff underneath. Because when you put whatever you're going to put on the top, whether that's piping gel or what the heck's it called? Oh, corn syrup or anything, it sets flat. You can't get piping gel to ripple. It will naturally set out into its like flattest form. So if you haven't put the ripples in, you're going to end up with a really flat, still water, which if you're doing like a swimming pool or something like that, is fabulous. I don't think hippos sit around in still water, so it's not going to work. I'm just going to rescue this bit of icing that I've stuck to the table. Oh, I nearly lost my hand doing that. Okay, last going on. trying to miss that corner again. I'd like to point out the feminist in me is thinking, why didn't hubby make lunch for you? Just, you know, putting it out there. Nearly done. Are we done? Okay, so we're going to airbrush this guy in a second. No, we're not. What's he missing? What's he missing, everybody? What has he not got on? Anyone tell me? Now I sound like I'm really in class, don't I? Anyone told me? Nobody's told me. All right, then. Well, in that case, our Hippo is going to be deaf. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to, again, put his ripples in. As well as doing ripples, you can do, like, circles. They're quite cool. So, although you lot don't seem to think, I think he needs some ears. Oh, which means I can sit down. Joyous. Right. Because they're a bit bigger, than sausage head, I'll put them here, just at the back of his eyes. I'm going to use a skewer just to help get the weight on. You probably could. He does need ears. Annette's had too much Prosecco. Annette? Oh, or is that these Hippos had too much Prosecco? Don't know. I'm just going to put some ears on. You could use modelling paste, but they're so short and stubby, I don't think you need to. But if you were worried about it, you could always use modelling paste and then let them set up. You can't see what I'm doing, can I? Oops. Forgot you were there for a minute. So I'm just pinching these in. And I will whack the broken bit up so the broken bit doesn't go in the cake. I'm just going to turn them towards me so I can see where these are supposed to go. Might be too long, to be honest. Let's give it a go, see if I hit the base. There we go. Now he looks like a hippo. So please stay on. So I've seen someone mention something about classes there, obviously, and until I think July my classes come back online, like in real life. But a lot of you now aren't close enough to get to them. So I've just launched online classes. So if you want to get to those, you need to go to the group, the Cake Illusionist Sculpting School community. That's me. I'll put a link in. They've got live access to the online classes already because I wanted to give them a bit of a head start for being lovely and supporting me and being in the group. So if you want that, and you want access to the bulldog and the sea turtle, and you want it on the discount that I've given them, you need to come and find the Cake Illusionist Sculpting School community group. And it's absolutely lovely in there at the minute. It's fairly new, but there's so many people sharing their sculpted cakes and what they're up to and things. It's really, really sweet. And I'm in there all the time helping everybody out as much as I'm able to. So if you want to come and hang out with me and get some advice and also show everyone all the cool stuff that we're doing off the back of these lives, please come and find us in there. If in doubt, chuck me a message and I'll point you in the right direction. All right, we've got some ears. Whether they'll stay on or not, I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to tidy this up very quickly. Let me just see if there's any. Yes, is. How deep is your cake? How deep is your love? I've got a bit of cake there. I go for about 2 inches a layer, so 4 inches plus filling, 4.5 by the time you've got all the way up. The Maisie recipes will tend to do that for you. Ah, it is really annoying me. Hang on, I just think I've got a bit too pushed forward. Maisie's will tend to give you pretty deep cakes, but I'm very known for putting wrong cake amounts in wrong tins to get deeper. So if I want a really big head, like height-wise, I'll put an 8-inch mix in a 6-inch tin, and that way my height comes up. So I'll actually change what mix I'm doing depending on how much I want the height of the cake to be. Okay, I'm going to get on an airbrushing. Yeah, apparently I'm not. God, I'm faffing so much. Difficult, isn't it, when you want it to be right and you've got no time. Okay, so airbrushing. First of all, I'm going to do this pinky bit, because what colour is a hippo? It's not grey, is it? Any which way you look at that, that is not grey. So we're going with pinks and browns, apricots, pinks and browns. And I've got a bit of apricot here. Again, this is so noisy, I'm going to end up being quiet for a bit, which will probably overjoy you all, no doubt. Because I chat rubbish. Still messing with these ears. Okay, stop messing. So let's start off. Yeah. Just a minute. Let's start off with it. I've got apricot, but I'm going to hit it with a bit of brown because the apricot's going to be too harsh. Let's go. So I'm going to go over with apricot first, around his eyes. Actually, I'm going to give him a good tickle with apricot. I'll try and keep it out of the water, but if it does, it does. And then he's got really pink bits behind his ears and on this first wave of skin. Speed airbrushing. Woo! Okay. Out again, brown. What time is it? Oh, midnight. Just going to pull some brown through. And then I'm going to chase that brown with some black, but I'm going to mix the two together. So now I've got a much darker brown, but I have got a very dark brown. I've not got a straight black. It's just very dark brown. Okay, and I'm going to use it carefully. Just to bring in some of that depth of colour. Just going to deepen them up to a little bit here. Up in there. Up in there. Back to the ears, back to the ears. And then I'll just quickly come into the water Again, if you want your ripples to show through, you're going to have to put in a bit of depth of colour on the airbrush. Okay. All right. See him? I'm going to try and lift him up without him falling. You can see him better. Okay. So what I want to do now is just pop his eyes in very, very quickly. If I have my airbrush colour with me, I might be tempted to just tickle this outside of the water with a very dark green, but it needs to stay muddy. It doesn't look right if you just sort of whack in a massive blue water, because it's not blue in any way, shape or form. So just pop some eyes in. How easy is it to correct an airbrush if it goes wrong? It depends how wrong it goes. I'm just going to move it slightly. The best way to do it is to let it dry. That much I know. So if you really screw it up, the one thing you can't do is fix it by carrying on. People start panicking and they start airbrushing over the airbrush. But if you screwed it up, it's going to be wet and it's going to be messy. So if you add more airbrush, you're just making it wetter and messier. So the best thing to do is to walk away, wait for it to dry completely, and then go back and see what you can rectify. But if you're careful with your airbrush, like use paper, like you saw me using paper there, everything I did was tested on the paper first. So if you're careful, it's pretty hard to mess up. So I'm just going to pop 2 eyes in. And quickly colour them. I'm trying to wait for this to dry because the bit I'm going to do next, if your airbrush is wet, it'll pick up. So the tip that I would use, and I haven't got any to use, is any of the kind of shell and shines, you know, spray glaze, any of that stuff. If you spray that on your airbrush cake, it locks it all in. Then if you put piping gel and stuff on, there's no risk that it's going to pull the airbrush off. I'll give it a go and see what it does. Anyway, so let me just quickly paint in his eyes, put a bit of dust on, and then I'll show you him from the front. So with his eyes, all I'm going to do is paint them very dark brown. Let's just do the other one. This is really a bit too big. Just painting his eyes in, and as always, I'm going to use my thinner brush. I've got some white extra, super white, and I'm going to give him his highlights, because otherwise you just don't, he's not brought to life if you don't give him his highlights. There's a lot more stuff I could do with eyes, but with this kind of time, cake's in an hour. We'll just leave it like that. But I can get a dust brush, hopefully. Where are they all? 18 brushes around. Got them all. All right, I'll dry this one off. I can get a dust brush and I can just work into, hopefully. I can just work into some shadows. So you want to go into all his grooves and everything, mix the black, brown and the black, and deepen up, give him all his dots in his face. So airbrush is only half the story. You've got to double back with your brushes, with your dust and dust it. Oh, okay, and then finally, let's grab, fingers crossed this works. This is pork piping gel because it's all I could do this week. But I would normally make it myself with gelatine with gelatine and corn syrup. But if I just roll that on, you should start to see very quickly. Yeah, if you make your own with a little more gelatin, you can actually get this stuff to set. It's like a gummy bear mixture, and I prefer that because then it sets and nobody's having to worry about it. So let's just do that. There. And again, I would spray him. So I'd spray him with a really good layer of spray glaze. I will try it with the piping gel there, see what it does. And he's looking pretty wet anyway. You see what I mean about how the piping will go flat. So if you haven't put the texture in your water will have no texture. Let's try what can happen. Don't knock off. You see him? So again, it's a really quite a simple design, but the impact of it is incredible. That's honestly, that is my entire aim, is in life, is what simple designs can we do with cakes where the impact is incredible. All right. Cool, let me just try and show you. I'm going to lift him up and bring him over here. I'm going to excuse the mess. Let's get over here. You see him? So I should put him back as well. Where's he gone? And oh, hit my camera. There you go. Hippo in an hour. Right. All right, let me just have a look and see what questions are. Woo! Chaos everywhere as usual. Amazing, thank you. Is that glaze or piping gel? This is piping gel, just because I could order it during the week. Normally, I'd have spray glaze in, but I forgot to get it, and I didn't want to pay all the extra to have it shipped again. So spray glaze I'd normally use on him to get that real heavy shine, and then piping gel I'd use all around to get the water. But I'd actually make my own piping gel, which you can do with corn syrup, which is just clear golden syrup. I buy it off Amazon 3 for 10 quid, and then gelatin, and you mix the two together and it makes a piping gel. But the good thing about it is that you can mess around with the quantities. So if you put more gelatin in and less piping gel, it'll actually set. And then you say, if you look at any recipes for gummy bears, anything like that, then when you put it on, it will set. And that means that you can get a really, really beautiful water effect, but without it being like sticky, because this stuff looks cool, but would you really want to eat it? But then I would spray glaze him, but I would spray glaze the whole thing first before doing it, because I've gambled that quite a lot, because the piping gel can very easily pull off the airbrush. So you want to kind of seal your airbrush first before you do anything on top. It's quite a good way of doing a lot of things, actually, if you just seal your airbrush, and then you can do a whole extra laser painting and things like that. So I don't know, was there any other questions? Because I said they've all jumped off the screen now, and that's all I can see. Look at that, 8:26. That is literally just, I thought for a minute I wasn't going to be able to do it in time, but I managed it. I don't know if it's because it's forward, but I thought I could see, just about see it. He looks lovely. Yes. All right, gang. Thank you very much for joining me. I say, if you want to hang out with me more, I've got a group running now, and I can never remember it. The Cake Illusionist Sculpting School community. That's us, and that's where everyone hangs out. So I've launched my my really cool online cake school now is through that. So you can go on that and you can find me and you can find all the other people that are doing cool things like this, and then we can play a bit more. And I will see you, if I survive it, if I survive another week with the kids, I will see you next week. All right, take it easy. Bye, guys.